So I'm just sitting here doing my nails. Don't look too close. And my double chin has made a guest star appearance, so say hello. Um, so I wanted to talk about some of the things I've been struggling with. So for like the longest time, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk and do this at the same time because my attention is really bad. I've been trying to... Okay, I should not try to do my nails. Okay. I've struggled with... This sounds so cliche. I've struggled with a specific pattern of thinking for a very long time. And it's like the changes that I'm making have been happening because of the awareness and the combination of self-reflection. Like, I'm not afraid to be honest with myself. The thing is, when you're honest with yourself, once you know the truth, or, you form a belief about something, when your actions have to align. Like, people only do what they believe. The best example of that is if you feel like you're being watched, you're going to act differently versus when you don't feel like you're being perceived or watched. So some of the things, some people just don't fucking care. But, people like myself, that matters to me. So, like, I had to have that level of self-awareness and reflection, and because my beliefs and the truth was not aligning with my actions. Like, I was pretty much doing things that I didn't believe that I should be doing. I was acting in ways that I didn't think that I should be acting. Like, it did not make sense, and once I started to piece that together, it was like, well, I want to change that. Like, I don't like to feel the result, the shame of knowing better but choosing not to do better, because that is literally what I feel like every single day. It's just shame, 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 because I hate myself because I'm the only reason why I'm not doing the things and achieving the things that I want. I'm the only person holding me back. I know the truth. I know how to do it. I know, like, there's nothing that I'm not knowing. But it's like, despite all that, I still choose to do things that do not help me get closer to where I want to be. So I've held on to that for a long time, and I've always been aware of that. But the past couple of weeks, I've been like processing some of, my thoughts and my feelings and, what I've been experiencing, just in my life. And I started to understand that I'm a very emotional person. Maybe you're like this too, but I think of an emotional person as somebody who's like, oh, crying all the time, and stuff like that. Like, crying all the time, up and down, not really stable. But what I've noticed is, like, every decision I make is based off of an emotion. And I don't even realize it. Like, I never knew that's what was really going on under the surface. But the best example is, like, starts early in the morning. If I felt like my sleep wasn't decent, and I wake up in the morning still having that strong feeling of just wanting to go back to sleep. There are some days where I just fight it and push through because I needed the money. But there are some days where I absolutely just do not give a fuck. And my brain allows me to do the thing that I want to do because it was able to rationalize and open, have those exceptions and excuses. So, I would call out of work. That was a decision based off of my feelings. Not keeping in mind that feelings do change. Like, right now, I don't feel like going to work. Like, I don't. I want to roll back over and go to sleep. But later, after I got my sleep, most times what will happen is, like, if I do that, I'll stay home from work. Like, I'll wake up from, going back to sleep. Let's say, I have to be to work at 11, and I wake up at 7:30 and I feel like I want to go back to sleep. Some of those times I would roll back over and go to sleep, but I'd wake up at like 9, So that meant that I still could have went to work, and my feelings had changed. Like now I was like, oh, I'm ready to go, but I had already made a decision earlier to let my boss know and everybody know that I wasn't coming in. And it's like, now I can't really get out of that decision that I made, but it was 100% based off of emotion. Like a boundary I have for myself is not talking to my ex. And I was crazy about this man, like literally crazy. And I had such a trauma bond to him, like this attachment. Um, so like the last time I had seen him was like January. And then I blocked him from like January, February, March. I blocked him until like, let's say June, January, February, March, April. No, January, February, March, April, May. I blocked him until like May or March. And I continued talking to him for about a week before I realized that talking to him literally dysregulates my nervous system. Like my stomach would literally start hurting because like I have this thing where like if I get stressed out or think about like really stressful things, my stomach starts to hurt real bad. Like I have to take the world's fattest shit. And so like I would get that every time I spoke with him. And then like during the day I would obsess about him. And because I didn't actually like him, it was a lot of me obsessing over negative things about him. And so I was like, no, I need to cut this off. And so I did. Like I talked to him for a week and I was like, no, I can't do this no more. So then, maybe like 2 months later, I would get drunk, and I would literally get drunk because I knew that when I get drunk, I don't feel shame about things. And so it was like I was almost setting up, planning ahead how I was going to get past the boundary that I had. And I made so many excuses to myself. I rationalized it with myself. And at some point, like literally, I was describing this to ChatGPT, but what it feels like, it's like the boundary is like a club and everybody's trying to get into this club, and the bouncer at the door, he sees somebody. Let's say the somebody is an excuse. The somebody in this situation would be some type of rationalization. So you have all these rationalizations trying to get through this boundary. And so one shows up and this is an excuse, and the bouncer says, nah, go away. The same person shows up to the club trying to get in. That same excuse tries to get into, the club, but they're wearing a mustache this time, thinking that they're disguising themselves. And the bouncer is like, come on in. And that's how it literally feels. It's like I have this boundary, but I'm able to make excuses to myself to get around that boundary. And what will happen is the more I think about it, the more excuses that I will be able to come up with. So like in one of the videos I was saying, one of the best things to do in those situations where I'm starting to let it marinate and it's like being very hot and intense, and it's like I feel like I need to do something, like engage with it and do what it's telling me to do, that, I feel like I'm moving too fast, but like that, when I get that, the best thing for me is to get up and move, and change my environment, whether that is going outside, whether that's going to the bathroom and taking a shower, whether that's going to the living room to watch something on the TV. Like I have to change my environment. I literally have to get up, because at some point along in that time, that delay, the impulse, the desire kind of fades. And so also the excuses fade away. Those rationalizations fade away. And, I'm just learning different things to do, but it's like, it doesn't work unless you do it. That's what I noticed. Like you can know it. And that's what I said. It's like, I know all these things, but it does not work unless you do it. And I'm at a point where it's like, Rayma, do it, because you know what to do. Like you don't want these things. Like you have boundaries, you have goals you want to achieve, and all these impulses and these desires are telling you pretty much go against where you're trying to go. Like you're literally going against yourself, breaking your own boundaries, and then dealing with the emotional consequences after. And it's just like, no, like I'm so tired of doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm starting to implement the tools a lot more. And so I noticed like behavior change happens from awareness, from being aware, but it also comes from reflecting and processing and actually understanding where these thoughts are coming from, where these feelings are coming from. So you have to have that combination. Maybe there's another one, but at least those two. And then you have to be educated. You have to actually learn what strategies are there, because you can be ready to change, but if you don't have the tools and the equipment to do so that are specific to you, then you're not going to be able to sustain that long enough. And so you know, I'm speaking from experience. So you know, I've noticed that I'm a person who needs routines. Like when I was younger, I knew that about myself when I was younger, but I didn't actually know it. Like how I know it now, I didn't understand it back then. I was kind of just like half-heartedly trying to, achieve that. Like I didn't know that's what I was actually doing. I don't know how to explain it. But like when I was like in high school, I've always wanted to lose weight. I've always been a fat bitch. So, I would wake up at like 5 a.m. in the morning and then go for a mile run and then come back in the house and get ready for school. And at that time, I didn't need to leave out for school until 8. So I started my routine at 5 and then ended up finishing it around like 6:45. And so from 6:45 to 8, there was a lot of time. And I just be like, I just woke up early, did all these things that I didn't really want to do in the sake of having a routine. And I didn't even need to do that. Like the time was not well spent. If the time was utilized a little bit better, I probably could have stuck to that routine. So I noticed that, my routines have to be realistic and they have to be broken down into small pieces. So, like, my first habit that I was trying to form was just getting out and walking every single morning. And I knew that I had to go to work at 9. So if I wanted to do all these things, and especially if I wanted to go out for a walk, that means I would have to designate time for it. That meant that I had to wake up earlier. And so, I set my alarm for like 6 o'clock. What I would do is I would leave my walking clothes in a place so that I could just grab them, put them on, not even think about it. I would make sure that my headphones were charged, because when I'm outside walking, I always want to be listening to something. So if I didn't have my headphones, and sometimes when I didn't have my headphones, it was like I don't even want to go on the walk no more. So I had to make sure that my headphones were charged. I put my shoes right by the door, and I just made it as easy as possible for myself to do the thing that I wanted to do. But I had to make it literally easy for myself. That means I had to think ahead. I had to look at, what do I need to go out for a walk? What do I need to actually achieve this? And how can I make it as seamless as possible? Because the thing with me, like I said, I'm a very emotional person. All of my decisions are based off of emotions. So as I'm following, this morning routine of waking up at 6, going for a walk, and like I said, just getting outside. Some days I literally walk to the block and I just come back in the house. Some days I'm walking a little bit more. Like this morning I walked 0.37 miles. So I come back in, I start my coffee. I've kind of made coffee a ritual for me because I have a French press and it is aesthetically pleasing to me and I like the idea of using it. So I use that as kind of like reinforcement to continue through with the routine. I make breakfast. Food is really reinforcing for me. So I pretty much associate the routine with like this positive experience of eating, ritual. I turn on a YouTube video. I like to watch some of these vloggers where like their content is very aesthetic and very calming. So I'll put that on while I make breakfast. And after I finish breakfast and washing the dishes, then I go take a shower. Then I do my brush my teeth, floss my teeth, wash my face. I even started like always making sure I have a towel in the bathroom. Because if I don't have a towel in the bathroom, that means I'm going to have to run back to the room. And that means that I'm probably just going to sit down on my bed in the room. I'm not going to continue on with the routine. So it's like every day I make sure that I have a towel in there. And then I even have a robe so that after I dry off and I'm about to brush my teeth and floss, I put my robe on. So like I'm kind of like a baddie. Like I'm putting my robe on, about to go to sleep. So, at nighttime, oh, this is morning. I do all those things, and by the time I finish, I have about 15 minutes to put my socks and shoes on, grab my bag, grab my charger, and leave out the house. So my time was very well spent. I didn't have to rush. I didn't feel frantic. I had a good time, doing everything I need to do. And that by itself has made me feel a lot more prepared for the day and a lot better. Like, having this routine, my emotions don't get a chance to make any decisions because none of the things I'm doing requires an emotion. It's like my brain knows the next step. There's that predictability. It's something about predictability and absence of having to think and feel. It's like automatic. It's like kind of like a robot. Like you just do it. And it's so crazy because nobody wants to be a robot, but I feel like that is what it's like when I'm doing these things. And I don't say that as a bad way, because I'd rather be the robot who ends up feeling like a baddie all day long and feeling prepared for the day, rather than an emotional person who's just not really putting any effort and just doing everything based off of how I feel. And most times I feel lethargic, I feel tired, I feel shitty, I feel shame. So it's like everything that I do is coming from those emotions, like the underlying emotions. And so that's what I do in the morning. And then I just recently started an after work routine that starts at 6:30, because I get off of work at like 2. So like for pretty much a couple hours, I get to just chill, do what I want. And then at 6:30, I start my nighttime routine, and that consists of me texting everybody good night, taking my phone, taking to the bathroom, taking a shower, putting on a video, listening to music, whatever I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I'll put on rain sounds while I'm in the shower. But I notice at night, I enjoy showers a lot more than I do in the morning. For some reason, it feels really good at nighttime. I don't know why, but that was something I had noticed a while ago before I even started these routines. And so I was like, okay, why not incorporate that into the routine where you get a pleasurable experience that actually feels good and is motivating you and like pulling you into actually doing it. And so so my phone died. My phone does not have a lot of storage, but these routines have pretty much literally have made me feel whole. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it literally felt like this is everything that I've been missing. And earlier this year, I spent a lot of time alone, not being able to do a lot of the things that I was doing as coping mechanisms and using as distractions. So I came to a point where there was no distraction. Like, there was literally nothing I could do but sit in that space of, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. And the thing is, I couldn't do it because I thought it was too hard. But the hardest part is the emotions. And finding a way to not even include my emotions has been successful. It hasn't been too hard. I think mostly because I want it so bad and I see how good it is. So it's like, let me just do it. I know that I'll feel good. Like, I know it's going to make me feel good. But then it's like, well, what happens if it doesn't? What happens if I do the whole routine and I don't feel, and I feel like shit? Or, I don't know. But usually after I do these routines, I feel good. Like, I feel whole. I feel content. I feel at peace. I feel like literally this is everything that I've been missing. And it has helped me kind of feel more human. Because, like I said, when you're lying to yourself, when you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not doing it. You're not acting in a way that you believe that you should acting. You're going against yourself. You're like tussling with yourself in that way. It's like you disconnect from yourself, because it's like, at least it was like this for me, but it's like in order to do this behavior, I have to get through this barrier. And sometimes this barrier, like sometimes like alcohol, well, like alcohol was doing, it just put me into a state of mind that is just like, well, I don't even feel bad. Like, I just did it. I don't feel anything. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, yeah, I'm a very emotional person. My emotions are very intense, and they pretty much decide everything that I do. So when there's structure, it's less likely for my emotions to come in, and my logical brain, the part of my the better parts of my brain can kind of shine through, because all of my emotions are like chasing after some type of feeling of wanting to be distracted, wanting to be numb, wanting not to feel like bad things, wanting to be stimulated in a way. And so I got into a very addictive pattern where it was like, there's a feeling that I don't want to feel, or there's like a feeling that I don't want to experience. So that triggers something that would help me to not, based off of, what I've already learned helps me to not feel these things. And so I start to desire, I start to have this impulse. It starts to feel hot, like do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And I actually do want to do it. And so I go ahead, I'm just like, you know what, I'll do it. But there still are some impulses that I have. But I think it's like I said, my emotional brain, that, part of me, it's not as loud. It doesn't seem as loud as it normally is. And I've only been on these routines for about 2 weeks. I just started the nighttime routine 2 days ago. And on the first day, it was hard. Like, I literally did not want to do it. And it's so crazy because, like, I'll be like in the bathroom taking a shit at the end of the day. And it's like, well, Raymond, you're already in the bathroom. Go just brush your teeth. And it's like, It's terrible, because it's like, okay, Raymond, well, if you don't take care of your teeth, you're not going to have no teeth. And then you're going to be a mad, pitiful person when you get to that point, and mad at everybody else for something you could have prevented. So it's like my logic is there, but it's not strong enough to win against my emotions. It's like I lose every single time trying to battle with those emotions. Because like what will happen is, like, it'll go away, and then it'll come back. It'll go away, and then it'll come back. So, there'll be times where I'm like, okay, Raymond, just brush your teeth like you're there. And they'll just be like, like, I just don't want to. But it's like, I'll come back in my room and just lay here and watch TV. And so that happened on Monday night. And I was thinking to myself, like, what did I think to myself? I was like, it feels so wrong right now to be sitting here and not taking care of myself. And so I was like, it's not too late to start. It was like 8 p.m. at this time. And I was like, it's too late. I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll make sure I do it tomorrow. But I was like, no, it's not too late. Go take a shower. And I immediately, literally, as soon as I said go take a shower, I immediately remembered how good it felt to take a shower. Like, literally, like the hot water on my back, the hot water on my chest and my arms, sometimes even turning on the jet hose and having it like spray my back. Like, I remembered that experience, and it made it a little bit easier for me to get up and go do it. And then once I got out the shower, I was like, let me just go ahead and brush my teeth. And it just felt a little bit easier to do the things that I needed to do. So I'm starting to understand that motivation comes when you do it. It doesn't usually come before, but that it's like, what am I trying to say? It's like, the action creates the motivation. It creates the desire to want to, versus you feeling like you want to, or you feeling like you should be doing something and expecting that to motivate you to do it. And usually that doesn't happen. Very rarely, sometimes out of the blue, sometimes. But most of the time, from what I've been experiencing, I have to just do it. Like, but the only way that I can do it and not feel like it's like this big task and this thing that I have to fight, I just make it very simple for myself. And like I said, putting those visual cues, putting things out, making it the easiest way possible for you to do what you're trying to do. So if you have a goal in your mind, break it down. Like, how do I get from A to Z? How can I make it as easy as possible for myself so that when it's time for me to do it, it doesn't require much effort. It's like everything is laid out in front of you. Like with the walk, I know I'm still not ready. Maybe I am. I don't want to say that, but like, I'm still not ready to go for a mile walk every day. Like, that is just not something I'm interested in doing, not anything that I want to force myself to do, because I just say, you got to get outside and walk. That way, whether it's to the end of the driveway, whether it's the end of the sidewalk, whether it's for half of a mile or a whole mile, I accomplished that goal because the goal was just to get out and walk. I don't even want to put a maximum, a minimum on it at this point, because I know I'm still building that habit and I'm just not ready for that yet. So I will continue to just keep this habit of just getting out and walking for as long as I need to. And on the day where, I put a limit on it and I say, okay, well, you need to at least walk a mile, that's going to be further down the road. But like I said, just making it easy, making it achievable, there are so many ways to get from A to Z. There are so many ways. I mean, I'm thinking about it in terms of like a maze, but I should say there are many ways to get through life. There are many ways to do things, and you have to find what works for you. And so what works for you might not look like what works for other people, but I think collectively we all come to the same conclusions. We all have the same feelings. And like what, kind of made me think about that was like the fact that like I could be sad because my animal just died, but somebody in Turkey or Greece or whatever can be sad because they just broke up with their boyfriend. We both understand what being sad feels like. We could probably both describe it and express it, and there are similarities in it, but those are two different situations. But it's the same feeling. So it's like, that's how I see it. It's like, you may be needing to go through this in a specific way. I'm going through this, but we both acknowledge that we're trying to change our behavior. We're trying to achieve something better. So, I'm not perfect, but I feel so much optimism that I'm finally getting somewhere. Like, this has helped me tremendously, and I'm only excited to see how, if I keep doing this, what else is going to come out of this? What other amazing, good, positive, peaceful things are going to come out of me simply just sticking to a bare minimum routine? Like, I feel like it is the barest of the barest, but it's achievable for me, and it makes me feel good, and it doesn't require me to consume anything or take anything into me. It's literally just like taking care of me, like doing what is already here, like taking care of what is already here with what I have. Because yeah, hopefully I don't feel shame, especially for sharing things like this, because I know good and well that I'm not the only one who goes through it. And nobody can say, ew, you're gross or you're nasty, or I can't believe you do that. Nobody can. Nobody is better than me, and I'm not better than anybody else. Even though sometimes I think I am better than everybody else. But, yeah, I'm going to do my nails now.